The 16th of May, Rabbi Furst, Mishna Berura.
Eliezer 3, you want to read a bit?
Misha Shoel.
Yes.
Misha Shoel to Chavero Benish Moshos Kamiyeh Sfira Bizeb Halayla. Somebody asked his friend during Benish Moshos, what's the sphere count going to be that night? Yom lo etmol hoya kaf v'kaf. You should answer him back. Yesterday we counted such and such. She'in yomer lo hayom kaf v'kaf, because he says tonight we're going to do such and such. Lahachzor limnos bebracha. He can't go back and then count at nighttime with a bracha. But if you say it before Benish Mashers, when it's Vada, not Lila, and counting is not relevant, then you can the count. You're not losing anything.
Very good. Okay, that's good.
Ushehagia, with the time, Ushehagia Zman, Surah Lechol Ajis, or when the time comes, it's usher to eat until you count. And even if you've already begun to eat, you should stop and count. However, if you'd begun to eat before the time came to count, he doesn't have to stop and stop. You should finish eating, and then he can count.
Right. Very good. Let's see the Mishna Berura. We started this a bit yesterday, right? I think, Mayor, we were in the middle of Yud Tes. Yeah. Okay, we'll start from the beginning. That's the Yud Tes. Sifkat Yud Tes. Benish Moshes.
Okay. Benish Moshes. Naket Benish Moshes Rishum de B'diavad in Berach Benish Moshes Yotza. We pick the time of Benish Moshes because B'diavad, if you counted during that period of time, then you filled your obligation. V'kol shekain im sha'al also achar tzeitzakov. And certainly if you ask a question after tzeitzakavim, shetzorach lezahir milchashiv hayom kach v'kaf. You have to be careful to, I guess, announce the previous day is what he's.
Right, because if it's after tzeitzakavim,
then
you have to definitely be careful to give him an answer that today, you mean the new day, the day you're supposed to be counting is such and such. If you answer that today is this day, then you've counted. And as we said in the Macabre, you've lost your bracha now.
Hayom kach v'kach, today is such and such a day. Even if you say it in a foreign language. Im lo amar hayom, if he doesn't say specifically this day, but doesn't make a difference. Because the ikar part of the mitzvah is say what the day's count is. Even if you didn't say Omer is part of the Omer, he's Yatsa b'diavad.
Right, so you don't have to say b'diavad, but you don't have to say Omer or the Omer. It's still Yotzi b'diavad.
Okay. Lachzer limnos bebracha, to come back and then count with a bracha. Shivar yotza b'zeh yidei sfira, because he's already fulfilled the obligation, the mitzvah of counting. Lamanda Omer mitzvahs ain't shrikas kona, according to the one who says mitzvahs don't require kavana. The Danaan Kaimelon, the shrikas kavana. Even though of us who hold the mitzvahs do require kavana, v'zev halolo kivin lotzes b'zeh yidei mitzvah.
So
what I don't understand
Yeah,
the question.
okay. Right, so what's being explained over here, that meaning since, as we were taught, that if he says he's all, I mean, his counting was not a counting. He wasn't intending to count by saying today is 23, right? He was simply intending to answer his friend's question, right?
Right.
That's not doing your mitzvah, right? So, nevertheless, by saying today is 23 and answering to your friend's question what day it is, even though that you didn't have intention to do your mitzvah when you were answering the day what it is, you're still Yosei Yedei Svira, Lamando Mrs. Ein Srikas Kavana. Because there is a opinion that mitzvahs don't need Kavana. You've simply counted, you didn't have Kavana, but you've done the mitzvah nevertheless. V'yafta an kaim landed Srikas Kavana, meaning the halacha is really that you do need Kavana, right?
Right.
Zelo Kivin, let's say, but this one was not intending to count when he said that today is 23 in answer to your question, right? However, right, le'inyan bracha tzorach lahachmir. But you have to be machmir when it comes to making the bracha, because lachosh lahadeya, that we should still nevertheless perhaps think that since there is a machlokus whether mitzvah strikas kavana, so when it comes up to making the bracha, we'll have to consider the fact that there are opinions that say that he is in fact fulfilling his mitzvah. He has in fact fulfilled his mitzvah, even though he didn't have kavana. So therefore, that's going to stop you from saying the bracha.
Okay.
So therefore,
Okay.
lo yivorech alas yimna achikav. Therefore, do not make a counting with a bracha when you go back and do it again.
Yesh od there's another solution. If he specifically says, "I'm not going to be Yosei with this statement," he's not going to be Yosei is the mitzvah. Kasvar right? The Myru also Kodim Shigila the Shavuos. He asks us before Shavuos comes. Or he's asking how much
Before you start counting, meaning the first 6 days of the Omer.
Oh, okay.
Right?
You haven't done a week yet. Okay, you haven't gone a week yet. Okay. Kasva Chronim, the Maya Shishal also Kodim Ha'ishal Bishal Shagila Shuas, once the week's counting, a few Omer Hayom Kafekach. Even says it's this, it's which day it is. Lav Klumhu because he didn't mention the weeks. So the first week it's an issue because you only mention numbers. Once you've gotten past the first week, when you first numbers and then weeks, if he just tells him the number, he hasn't done anything because he hasn't counted the weeks. I feel even he says what day it is. Lav Klumhu. It doesn't count until the weeks also. And then he can go back and count with a bracha. Vishakiya is mano. Rotel wants to say, we're talking about Tzesach Chavim. He's piled Kriya Shema, which even if he's already said Kriya Shema and Shemona Esrei, if he said Kriya Shema and Shemona Esrei during Ben Shmashos, and now it says Kachavim, Im Lokain, because if that was not the case, the Lav Haki Aser Mishum Kriya Shema Tefillah, it would be Aser to do anything because he had to say Kriya Shema and Tefillah.
Right. This is what the Machaber is talking about, specifically about the eating issue, that you're not supposed to eat before counting the Omer.
But Niskimu HaAchronim de Lefimaj de Paskin El B'Simen Reish Lamed Hey. According to what we paskin above in Simen Reish Lamed Hey, the Hachmer Mechasi Shah Kodem Azman, to Machmir half an hour before the actual Zman of Kriyashma not to be of counting not to be eating. Who adin hacha yeshlonu lahachmir shalo lechol mechasi Shah hasamach l'sfira. The hala I feel im kvar he did lahas he fell out. So what he's saying is that the half hour before Tzeitzek Chavim, we should be careful not eat then, so you don't delay the time of counting when Tzeitzek Chavim comes.
Right.
Okay. B'makom sheminag she'ashamis korei l'safar lispar l'sfira, and even in a place where the minig is for the shamish to announce the day. We're not strict about it before the zman for counting.
Because the guy goes around telling people, so you're not worried about getting involved and forgetting about it.
Okay. Al eat who adin the sharmit malakas. This is the case for all other malakas. Ukuto ayel b'simin reish lamed vav v'reish lamed hey. And you see, we expanded about reish lamed vav v'reish lamed hey. Posek b'sofer.
Reish lamed base, reish lamed base, reish lamed hey.
Reish lamed base, reish lamed hey. Posek v'sofer. He stops and he counts. Hainu l'manda Omer sfira b'zmana zed deraisa. This is according to the one that says that sfira these days is deraisa. Ube mitzayin b'hagah. And excuse me, the God explains. Im kain ledidan de naktinen sfira b'zmana zed derabanan, that according to those of us who like these days who sold that Sfira Bismana says the Rabbanan eno posik. You don't have to stop. Okay. The aisle, the Simon, Reishlam, and Bays, Linian Mincha, where Mincha is concerned, Yesh Me'achonim Shekosvin, there are those among the Achonim who write, Delficha Chashash or Ramah, for the Ramah is concerned there, Binyan Lahachmir, but also Deas, to the right. So we should be concerned about those people who have the opinion that it's deraisa. Mishum dehu davar she'ein bo torah klal lahafsik ma'at l'sofer, because it's not really. We should be concerned about the ones who hold that it's deraisa, because it's not really a tircha to stop for a second and count whatever you're doing.
Right, especially that's what Omer, you asked this the other day, that if a person forgot and he started to eat, and now he remembers he didn't count the omer, which he should have done beforehand, right? Can he stop? And so that's the clock according to Mr. Brewer. In fact, yes, it's easy to do, so you just have to stop eating momentarily, count your omer, and then you continue on with your food.
Before the time for counting has come, and what we wrote above, that a half hour before the time comes, it's the beginning of the Isser. Yeshayek Dina de Ramah, the din of the Raw is relevant. That if you began to eat more than a half hour before the time of counting, that you began to eat more than a half an hour before the time of counting.
Yeah, so that'll be permissible, right? Half an hour before the time, it's permissible just to begin eating if you like.
So in a tzarech lahafsik, you don't have to break. I feel in Manda Omer Sfira Bismana said the Raisa, even according to the one who said it's the Raisa, is not Sheish Od Shehu Sofer. It's law Kivin Sheish Od Shos Lispo. Because he has more time to count. Okay.
Right. Yes, theoretically the whole night for counting. Okay. Okay, let's go on to the Mechaber here in Sif Hey.
Im eno yodea cheshbon, he doesn't know the count. Upasach adaita delasayim kamo yishma mechavero, and he starts the bracha and he's going to count based on what hearing what his friend says. V'shosak ad shema mechavero, and he stops until he hears what his friend's saying. V'siyum kamohu, and he finishes as his friend is saying. Yotza, he's yotza. He's fulfilled his obligation. Okay. Mr. Berg Pasach as the bracha begins the bracha. V'siyum kamohu is going to finish like him. Yotza, he's fulfilled his obligation. Rosh Omer says after bracha, the bracha is also good. The daita dehachi pasach habracha v'sayim, because this is his intention when he began the bracha and completed it. V'ika siyum upasicha, and there is a siyum and a finishing and an opening. Umikol makom l'chachila ein lo levarach ela im kein yodua mitchila is a yom hayom. But l'chachila, you shouldn't start the bracha until you know which day it's going to be. The also hafsik afil b'shtika, because it's also to stop to interruption, even with silence. Ben bracha la mitzvah yoter b'kedei dibur, more than the time it's to kedei dibur. Time says to say shalom aleichem Rebbe.
Right, and then that's what he's that's what he may be doing that in this case. Because what's he doing? He's saying, well, I don't know what day it is, but okay, I'll listen to what my friend's going to say. So I'm going to start my bracha with his bracha, right? And then when I hear what he has to say, then I'll jump in and repeat what he said. But it could be by the time that the fellow says the bracha, and it has the words of the bracha at the end, and I was actually doing the count, it may be more than Tokadei Dibur, and that'll be difficult and problematic. So it's Litkatila, you shouldn't do this. If you want, just wait. Like, just listen to what he says, right? Don't make any bracha, don't do anything. Just listen to what he says. Have in mind not to be yotzi with what he's saying. Then when you hear from him, then you may start off your own bracha and go ahead and do it.
Okay.
Okay, now that brings us, I think, to Vav.
In pasuk for Omer Baruch Hashem Elkeinu Melech Haolam Adaita Dilema Hayom Arba. If he started the bracha with the intention of saying it's the fourth day, Shu Savar Shehu Arba, because he held that, because he thought it was really going to be the fourth day. Nizkar Utsiyam B'Chamisha Be'em Chamisha, and he completed it by saying it was the fifth day, and it really was the fifth day. Or Ifka, or the way they were around. Shehem Arba Pasach Adaited Blame Arba Vital Vasiv Chamisha, but we thought it was going to be the 40 and intention to finish with 40. He finished by saying it was the fifth day. Eno Chosim Bavork. He doesn't go back and say the bracha again. He just counts correctly, doesn't say the bracha again. V'siyin b'chamisha, Berura, he finishes by saying 5. Rotzalomer shesaper chamisha yom, he counts 5 days. V'tov v'siyin v'chulu, Rotzalomer wants to say shesiper chamisha, he counts 5 even though it's just the 4th day. Excuse me, Eno Choser, sorry, Eno Choser Vorech, he doesn't go back and make another bracha again. Ha'achronim tamu adins, and the Achronim are surprised by this ruling. The Bishleba Beresha Shasiyam B'Chamisha, when he finishes, when he has the intention he counts for the 5th day, and it is the 5th day. Nicha Dea, his knowledge was correct. Dre Sipar Kadin, he counted correctly. Afagav the Bishas Bracha, even though at the time of the Bracha, Savar Shahu Arba Lav Klum, that just because everybody thought it was the 4th day, that's nothing significant. Below bracha klal yotza, because even if he didn't say a bracha, he would have been yotza at this point. About the safe, in the safe of this case, my hani lay Shebashas bracha yada ezahu yom. What help does it make if he knew at the time of the bracha what day it was? Lo I'll call upon him. The piv sipur yom she'eno, because when he said it out loud, he said the wrong day. What good is it going to be? Because he said the wrong day.
Right.
Excuse me. V'yiskimu de bezeh.
That's the big wonder that they have about this machaber in this tape.
V'yiskimu de bezeh tzorich l'saper perish ulevarich. What does that mean?
That they agree, right? They agree in the I think this is the Achroni that are wondering about this din of the macabre. They agree the bezet sorek l'spor bechadash. They agree, not like the macabre.
That he has to count again and give the new bracha. The bracha was
Right.
shown because the original bracha was a levatala. Kivish shasim achrecha yom acher, because he counted the wrong day afterwards. In Meloshin Iskar Toch Kadei Dibur, if he didn't recognize it, Toch Kadei Dibur of the time they actually counted. Sha'az Hoser, the Sofer Kedin, the Habracha Olalo, because then he has to count correctly and he needs a bracha for it. Vidal should also
And
know
if he did realize his mistake, yeah.
okay.
Right? If he realized his mistake, coded the keyboard, then it's a corrective thing that he did, right?
Daf Shulchan Aruch, Myri, the Shulchan Aruch says, Shebe'es Habracha Hayadea Yom Hasfira. At the time of the bracha, he knew the day of Sfira, Uvarech Adaita L'Sofer Kahogen, and he had the intention of counting correctly. Elish Achar Kach Ta'a V'Siyam Shalom Kahogen. But afterwards he made a mistake and counted the wrong day. About Kama Achronim, many Achronim say, Daf im be'es habracha hayadaito gam kain al yom acher. Even at the time the bracha had intention the wrong day, became saper batas, and then he counted it incorrectly. B'kol makom im betok kadei tibor niskar shatao. But everybody says if within Tokadei Dibur he recognizes his mistake, Yisayim Takef Kahoge V'Yotze B'Zeh. He just corrects his count and he's Yotze with that. V'Od Kosvu, they also write D'im Ta'a V'Omer Hayom Yom Revi V'Omer. He says it's the fourth day of the Omer. B'Tokadei Liber Niskosha Hu Yom Chamishi. When the Tokadei Dibur he realizes the fifth day. Dayu Shasayim Chamishi of the Omer. Just as you say Chamishi will correct the count. The Yotze B'Zeh, and he's Yotze with that. The Ashlo Omer Hayom Yom Chamishi. Even if you say today is the fifth day, Kivin Shu Adayin Tokadei Dibur, because he's still in Tokadei Dibur of what he was saying, so he can make his corrections without having to make a bracha or count again.
Right, and since it's Tokadei Dibur, the Yom Yom is going also on his correction as well. Okay. Yeah, let's use the Machaber in Siv Zion now. This is more common here. Shachach, we got.
You made a mistake. Shokach. If you forgot, below Baruch Kol, I didn't count all night. Yisro b'yom below bracha. You count during the day without a bracha. Yisro b'yom, he counts during the day. Kedas harbe poskim debievet sfira yom ola l'sfira. Because according to many poskim, the debievet counted during the day counts. Below bracha, doesn't say a bracha. It doesn't say a bracha. Yesh lachos l'das poskim the ein zman sfira el b'layla. You were concerned about the poskim who hold that daytime is not, that the only time for counting is at night. Because mevorech b'yom hu levatala, when it makes a bracha during the day, it's a bracha levatala. Mihu, however, mikan ulahaba. From that point on, sofer b'chol halayla b'bracha. He can count every day at night. He can count every day at night with a bracha. V'lo have kedolag yom echad legamrei. It's not considered a Friday completely. She'eno sofer over bracha. At which point he wouldn't be able to count with a bracha. Who could the kama, as we will explain further on.
Okay. Very good.
All right. Have a good Shabbos, everybody.
Have a good
Good,
Shabbos,
good
Omer.
place. Thank you. Very good. Thank you. Very good. Good place to stop. 10:30. Right. Everyone have a good Shabbos or Shabbos at 9:30 if you like. We'll be on Umas Mitzvah. Okay.
Thank you.
Have a good afternoon, Lou. Have a good afternoon, Mayor. Hope to see you.
You too,
You
Rabbi.
are. Good.
Okay.
Thank you, Lou.
Thank you, Rabbi.
Thank you, Lou. You can